And listen, and this is why.
Tell me how he did it.
This is why some scholars believe that he may have interpreted or misconstrued certain things in that Quran. And the reason why I would actually believe that to some degree, I'm not saying that I do believe it, but I'm saying the reason why because we knew by the time of Abu Bakr, Islam went from just a religion to a social political system, and we know that in the time of Umar it went from a social political to also a military and a legal system. So because these people were leaders and they needed to control the people, it would make sense if I say to you now, if you don't believe as this, it's the same thing the Christians do, then you're going to burn in hellfire forever. What can you think of worse than hellfire?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And if you do believe, then you're going to get paradise. But I don't believe that the people who believe, and then we're going to finish now, these are the ones who are going to go to paradise. Because people who believe in Islam, Rastafari, Christianity, Kemet, because of an afterlife, are people who have an ulterior motive, and better, is the righteous atheist, than the person who is a believer but it doesn't make their character. So what I'm saying is, an atheist can be righteous in all of their actions, and my personal belief is someone who is religious can have no righteousness in their actions. You understand? So I believe that in order to spread Islam and politicize Islam, there were things added. One of them is that you're going to burn in hell if you're not a Muslim, and so on and so on. And this is why I more tend to stray towards the Sufi side of Islam, because this side of Islam is about getting to know.
Let us now examine what you said so far.
No, let me just finish what I'm saying. The Sufi side of Islam is about being a better person. It's about actually taking the principles of Allah, the 99 names for Allah, and actually applying them in your life. And that's actually going to create better people in the world. You know what I'm saying? But just believing in the Quran, believing in Prophet Muhammad, that's not going to change shit. I know bare man in jail right now calling themselves Muslims and they're not true Muslims. I see man out here trying to start beef and fights, calling themselves Muslims, and they've got the defense and the backing of other Muslims. I asked a Muslim, even if your Muslim brother is the oppressor and gives the first punch, will you back him? And he said yes. He said yes, even if his brother is the oppressor. And this is a black Muslim talking about an Arab man that's oppressing. So this is why certain people will feel like we become enslaved to Arab culture.
You know what you've done so far?
Let me say one last thing. Okay,
I will forget
let me say one,
many things you said,
let me
right?
say one tiny last
thing.
I don't want to feel like I'm biased, I bought a school in a place called Gambia, It's a Muslim country, And some of the most blessed and some of the most best brothers are in Gambia, and I will be going to Gambia to live a Muslim country. But I believe that due to the Sufi and the spiritual African ways, that there's an embodiment of Islam that they have there, which is very spiritual, which I don't see as much in the West.
Sure. You've made several points in what you said, and many of them you've made based on hearsay, without any evidence from history. So this is an emotional thing that you've done. What you've done, saying, okay, I've some Muslims I have seen, they will side me up with this and they will side with the oppressor, totally against the teaching of Islam.
100%, that's what I told them.
Hang on. So don't bring them in and say, okay, the ones who are saying these are good people, the Sufis. No, Sufism is not another religion. Islam says you purify your soul as well. That is what Sufism should be about. 100%. Right. But the Sufism also takes an extreme and they start saying everything is God. I am God, part of God. Of course,
it makes sense.
It doesn't make sense.
If God's everything.
Are you going to let me speak, right? It doesn't make sense. Why? Because you are a creation of God, totally distinct from God. You can never be part of God in any way, shape or form. The moment God created you, you are separate from God. Okay? So don't bring Sufism in. Don't bring any ism in. Muslims can have different kind of understanding of this, but just bringing saying I'm more siding to the Sufi, this is the wrong approach, right? You should be siding with the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet, because that is where the solution is.
I'm saying that the Sufis are the ones who have brought me.
No, the Sufis are. Look,
what I'm saying is
you're interrupting. You're interrupting. Okay. When you said I let you finish. You said 1 point. I said 5. Right. You need to understand that the solution, correct understanding, correct interpretation of Islam, the teaching of Allah and teaching the Prophet is the Quran and the authentic, pure Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, even if he was a Sufi saying, go to that, you accept it because he is referring to the main source. Even if it was a Salafi, you accept it. Even if it was a Ikhwani, you accept it. Why? They're all referring to the source of the divine teaching from God and from the Prophet. Right. You made, again, an assertion and an accusation about the compilation of the Quran that the third Caliph, Uthman, somehow may have possibly twisted, misconstrued, distorted, introduced something new about jihad and so on in the Quran. This really tells me that your reading needs to be extended. You need to have an extended list of reading, right? Extended reading. You may have read what Gary Google does. That is not the right approach, right? Sorry to bring Gary Google in, right? This is what he does. It's a totally wrong approach of learning. Learning must be done. If you want to learn about mathematics, don't go to a what? Would you go to learn mathematics from a farmer who doesn't know anything about it? You go to a mathematician to learn about mathematics, right? If you want to learn about Islam, about the Quran, go to the sources. Don't go to the secular, liberal, humanist, agnostic, or Christian propagandists and extremists. You should go to the source because they will always give you a biased, distorted picture. So the picture about compilation of the Quran, let me clarify to you what happened and see whether you agree with it. During the time of the during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, was the Quran memorized, all of it, by some people? And was the Quran written down, all of it, by some people? The answer is categorically yes. There are people who memorized all of it, and there are people who have written the Quran in written form. Right. As the Prophet passed away, there wasn't one particular individual book that people say we should just follow like that, because everyone had their own copies as much as they have written. Everyone had the Quran as much as they have memorized. Some all of it, some parts of it. What Abu Bakr, the first Caliph, did, radiallahu anhu, he compiled the Quran. Okay? He compiled the Quran. That Quran copy, how did he compile? Did he say, okay, I am going to write from my memory what I heard the Prophet say? No. He got all the Muslims to come and say, this is what I heard directly from the Prophet, and this is a witness. This is a witness to it. So every verse of the Quran, every ayah of the Quran was testified by the very people who heard and learned and wrote down in the direct presence of the Prophet. That was all compiled together, and it was left because there was no need then to disseminate this book in the Muslim empire or the Muslim state. When he passed away, it was left eventually with Hafsa radiallahu anha. Another time later, during the time of the third Caliph, there was a dispute happening somewhere far along the Muslim center of Islam in Azerbaijan, where non-Muslims or people becoming a Muslim, not even Arabs themselves, they were saying my recitation is better than yours. That point, Caliph Uthman radiallahu anhu, he did what we call standardization. Now what did he do? There are two reports. One is he did the same thing that the first compilation did, from the scratch, that you had everyone coming up with the verses of the Quran and testifying for every single verse that I heard the Prophet said so. So the people who were the disciples, the companions of the Prophet, they said this is the Quran that the Prophet left behind. And they collected this Quran and said this is what we're going to make a copy of. Or just copy what was already copied from Hafsa, and they found it's the same thing, right? Made it in the dialect of the Quraysh, and that was it. So it is impossible for Uthman or Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with them, to introduce even a single word in the Quran. Why? Because it's a community enterprise where all the companions, as many as they could come in this project, with every single verse of the Quran and with a witness. So you have now a whole community saying this is the Quran. Who are we to doubt and say it's not the Quran? Because this is what they said is the Quran. So when they left and standardized the Quran, you can have no dispute, you can have no doubt or question about what's been collected by them and what's been transmitted afterwards. It's not like a one-man enterprise. If it was a one-man enterprise, one-man job, a project where he writes from it, you can then question it. Oh, maybe he introduced something new. This is the mercy of Islam, where even in earlier times, the Caliphs were so wise in their thinking. They collected the Quran from the people. as a community who said, yes, we all testify, this is the Quran that the Prophet taught us. And they transmitted this generation after generation, after generation after generation, till today. We have memorized this Quran, word for word, letter for letter, sound for sound, today. And my friend, this is the blessed month of Ramadan, the month of Quran, where this Quran is being recited in our masajid, in our mosques. Most of them, from the beginning of the Quran and hopefully to the end of the Quran, every single chapter, every single surah, every single verse or ayah, every single word, every single letter, every single sound to the accuracy will be pronounced and recited by and from memory. You need to witness this in this month. So if you go to Regent's Park Mosque in Baker Street, if you go to Baker Street, Regent's Park Mosque, go to Whitechapel, East London Mosque, and you will see with your own eyes how the Quran is a living transmission from memory to the letter. You cannot change this today. If you were to make a mistake, hundreds of people may be correcting you at the same time. They are told not to. Don't correct. Let few people in the front row correct it. Otherwise it's going to be chaotic. Even if you make one mistake. That's happening today. It happened the day before. It happened the year before. The decades before. This is a living testimony and transmission of the Quran. Muslims can have no doubt what we have today is what the Prophet left behind.
So there's no documentation of Uthman destroying, legislating one Quran and destroying all the rest.
No.
There's no.
He standardized it, and everything else he says they should be all destroyed. They should be all burnt. This is the fact of history. Why? Because people were writing. Remember, some of them were not even not Arabs. They are writing Arabic language, which is a
So
new.
I've got to base my belief in the Quran based upon what Uthman thought was right and right.
No, not all Uthman thought, my friend. Again, what I said so far now, you didn't even pay any attention.
I'm cool with the Quran. I think
No. You did not pay any attention. I think.
I believe it's
I am saying, Uthman, what he did, only as a head of a state, he was leading the project. That project is Muslims, the companions of the Prophet, who heard and learned the Quran directly from the Prophet, wrote down directly in the presence of the Prophet. They brought down and came together, said this is the Quran. Uthman has nothing to do with it. He's just supervising the project. He's the head of the state, a leader, and Amir of the project leader. Right. So what he ensured that this is happening smoothly with all the resources. So when this was all completed and compiled, are you going to have any doubt that the Quran that we have today is any different than what they consider to be the Quran? Can you? It's impossible.
I personally believe that's because you're a Muslim. And
No.
you believe in it. No, I'm saying that's my personal belief. Because from my research, and just knowing
What have you
mankind.
read? What have you read?
Just knowing mankind.
What have you read? You seem to be watching just YouTube videos, aren't you? What book have you read? Give me an example of a book by an academic that you've read on the compilation of the Quran. Because when you say research, look, a research is a very loaded term. Research means reading, studying, analyzing, critiquing, making.
I'm just saying that no man's perfect.
No. In your research, give me name of one academic work on the compilation of the
You already
Quran.
asked me that and I already gave you an answer.
Academic
I
work.
said I just managed to remember Abu Bakr, Uthman,
So you haven't read
Ali.
them.
I
So
can't remember
your
the-
research
I
is just
can't-
the beginning.
I can't remember the scholarly.
Fair enough. So you're beginning to research.
You can undermine
No,
the information.
you haven't
that I
researched,
come.
you have
Listen,
begun
the
the
fact of
research.
the matter is, you've said that in order for someone to be, understand Islam, they have to go to a Muslim and take it from a Muslim scholar and then report what a Muslim scholar says. So
Go to experts.
most times I'm in line with that anyway, because I deal with the example of the Prophet Muhammad, I deal with the Quran, and I deal with the Most High, my own relationship with the Most
But
High.
you
which
believe in part of the
which you
book
say-
and disbelieve in part
no,
of the
no,
book.
it's not that I disbelieve.
Do you believe in the whole of the Quran?
I don't believe in anything. I don't believe.
Do you believe in the whole of the
my wife.
Quran?
I don't believe in beating my wife. Put it like that.
No. Do you believe in the whole of the Quran?
No, I don't believe that I will be able to beat my wife. So that I think.
Neither do I. What's the point? Neither do I.
So there's not.
One second. Neither do I.
Okay, and I don't believe that if someone drinks alcohol, they should be whipped.
So you think, okay, so
I don't
basically,
believe that.
That's an opinion.
Okay. Look.
I don't believe if
What does
someone
the- what does the
commits
Quran-
adultery, they should be stoned. Because
Sorry.
some of the main people that get involved in the prostitution rings
Excuse me.
are from certain religions.
What does God say about the Quran as a final guidance from God? You are obviously not happy with God and His final guidance.
No. I'm not happy with. That's what I'm saying. You're saying I'm not happy with God, but I am saying that I'm not happy with what Uthman put together. I'm not happy with what I feel like the.
Before Uthman put it together, the Quran was already around. And already the Quran said about do not gamble, do not drink alcohol. Are you happy with that?
Yes, I'm cool. I'm cool with it being a.
So you have only a problem with Uthman?
No.
And Omar?
I'm okay with someone
You know what?
alcohol.
Are you a
but
Shia in
no,
disguise by any chance?
No. I'm okay with someone saying don't drink alcohol. But after I tell you don't drink alcohol, I'm saying that because I care about your health. So if you carry on drinking alcohol and you kill yourself with lung cancer, that's up to you. I don't feel like if I don't see you drinking alcohol, I have any religious right to whip you. And anyone has the right to whip you. I don't believe that.
That's fair. That's
Do you believe in...
So from there, I've got to. I've got to go with my own.
One question I have to ask you.
Now,
Do you believe in crime and punishment system? Do you believe in crime and punishment systems?
Depends what you're talking about.
Do you believe that God can legislate a system of punishment for certain crimes?
I don't believe God would have legislated it the way that it's been legislated
No.
through Islam. No.
In principle, do you entertain the possibility that the divine being God, creator of the heavens and the earth, can legislate punishment for certain crimes which he says is a criminal act?
Okay. Let me answer that. Yeah.
Answer.
I'm gonna. This is why I separate Islam with the Muslim world. Yeah. Because, for example, in Saudi Arabia, women are not allowed to drive. Listen. Let me finish what I'm saying. Or recently, women were not allowed to drive. Yeah. We also know that in Saudi Arabia, women can't do certain sports. Now, do I believe, that is correct? No,
That's not my question.
But do I believe that's Islam? No, but do I believe that?
Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing? Instead of answering my question, you went into the specifics of culture of a particular country.
No, I'm talking about
wait.
the Holy Land of.
In my country,
Mecca.
women are allowed to drive.
I'm talking about the first holy place.
Wait.
Where's the first holy place?
Excuse me. Wait. In my country, women are allowed to drive. Now, why did you bring it? This has nothing to do with Islam. So what I'm asking you is this: in principle, do you entertain the possibility or the idea that the creator of the heaven and the earth can give us laws of punishment to deal with certain criminal activities?
And do I believe that that's Sharia law? No, I hear what you're saying.
Do you really want me to end the conversation here?
You could, if
Because no.
If you're ignorant, you're cool. I'll come with love and sincerity.
You are now demonstrating. You are demonstrating that you are really not really sincerely.
You can say
Having, look. I asked you a question, which is this. Before Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was born, there was no Sharia of Islam through the Quran, right? And the Sunnah. Before that time, do you entertain the possibility that the creator of the heavens and the earth can give laws of punishment for certain criminal activities which the creator deems to be crime?
It's such an ambiguous question.
Now it's ambiguous.
No, it's
I left.
ambiguous.
Look, you are an obstacle of Prophet Muhammad. Listen. No. Let me. You have, I know, an obstacle of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his Sharia and his laws. I removed that from the equation. Say, look, go back 5,000 years ago. If you were at the time of Moses, say, or even the prophets before, do you accept the possibility that God can give you laws to deal with punishing criminals? A system of punishment where God says, for this crime, this is the punishment. Do you accept that God can give those laws and guidance?
Well, I believe if those laws were made, they would have to transcend time and transcend places. So they would have to be able to apply every time, every place.
Now, who's convoluting the water? instead of answering straight yes,
I can't say.
listen.
If I say yes, then
Let me help you.
Okay.
Let me help you.
When you say God, you're saying God as if Muslims and Allah, Muslims via Allah have the only right to God, but the next man's going to say next God, and next man's going to say next God. So if I
This
say
is
yes,
really
God can
sad.
say his law,
Do you know why it's very sad?
if I say yes, God can say his law,
wait.
it means that I'm having to